For a long time after the divorce, I believed the story was over. Emily was gone, Alex was gone, and the life I once thought was perfect had quietly collapsed. At first, the silence felt unbearable. The house felt too big, too empty. Every room held memories I didn't want anymore. So I sold it. I moved into a smaller apartment across the city and tried to rebuild my life from scratch. Most days were simple. Work, gym, dinner alone, sleep, repeat. It wasn't exciting, but it was peaceful. And after everything that had happened, peace felt like a luxury. But life has a strange way of reminding you that some stories aren't finished. Sometimes the real truth appears long after the damage has already been done. And in my case, that truth arrived on a rainy Thursday evening. The unexpected visitor. It was around 8 p.m. when someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, a woman stood in the hallway. She looked nervous. Her hair was wet from the rain, and she kept glancing down the corridor like she wasn't sure she should even be there. "Are you Daniel?" she asked quietly. "Yes." She hesitated before speaking again. "My name is Sarah." I didn't recognize the name. But something about her expression made my stomach tighten. "I think we need to talk about Emily." Hearing my ex-wife's name again after months of silence felt strange. Like reopening a wound that had finally started to heal. Still, I stepped aside. "Come in." The story I didn't know. Sarah sat on the couch and wrapped her hands around a cup of coffee I offered her. She looked at me carefully, like she was trying to decide how much to say. Finally she took a deep breath. "I dated Alex," she said. For a moment I just stared at her. My mind struggled to connect the dots. "You dated him?" "Yes." "When?" "Before Emily." The room felt suddenly smaller. Sarah continued. "We were together for almost 3 years. 3 years. That was longer than Emily's affair with him. But we broke up," she said. "Why?" She hesitated. "Because I found out he was cheating." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "That sounds familiar." But Sarah didn't smile. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. Then she placed it on the table in front of me. "There's something else you should know," she said. The folder. Inside the folder were documents. Bank statements, emails, printed screenshots. At first, none of it made sense. But as I started reading, my confusion slowly turned into disbelief. Then anger. Then something colder. The documents showed that Alex had been moving money for years. Large transfers. Accounts under different names. Business deals that looked suspicious. And some of those transactions had happened during the time he was involved with Emily. I looked up at Sarah. "What is this?" She answered quietly. "Alex was stealing money. The real betrayal." According to Sarah, Alex had been running a complicated scam. He worked as a financial consultant, which gave him access to wealthy clients. Over time, he quietly redirected small amounts of money into hidden accounts. Nothing big enough to attract immediate attention. But over several years, those small amounts added up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. I leaned back in my chair. "And Emily?" Sarah's eyes met mine. She knew. The words hit me harder than anything else. She helped him. The missing piece. Suddenly everything from the past year started making sense. Emily's late nights. The secret phone calls. The nervous behavior. The constant texting. Their relationship hadn't just been an affair. It had been a partnership. Not just romantic. Criminal. I felt a wave of anger rise in my chest. "All this time," I muttered. Sarah nodded. "I tried to report Alex once before," she said. "But I didn't have enough proof." She pushed the folder closer to me. "Now I do. The choice." That night I barely slept. My mind kept replaying everything. The betrayal. The lies. The way they had smiled at me while hiding something much bigger than an affair. The next morning, I called a lawyer. 2 days later, the evidence was handed over to authorities. Then we waited. The knock. 3 months passed. Life returned to its quiet routine. Until one morning when I saw a news article online. Financial fraud investigation leads to arrest of local consultant. The photo underneath the headline was Alex. He looked older, tired, defeated. According to the report, investigators had uncovered multiple fraudulent accounts. Millions of dollars had been moved over the years. And Emily. Emily had been questioned as well. The final twist. A week later, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a familiar voice spoke. Daniel. Emily. I hadn't heard her voice in over a year. What do you want? I asked coldly. There was a long silence. Then she said something that made my heart stop. Alex blamed everything on me. What? He told them I was the one who convinced him to move the money. My grip tightened around the phone. And was he lying? Another silence. Finally she whispered. No. The truth. Emily had never just been part of the affair. She had been the one who came up with the idea. Alex had simply executed it. For years they had built a secret life together. Money, plans, dreams. All while I believed I was living a normal marriage. The realization felt surreal. How could you do this? I asked quietly. Her answer was simple. I thought we'd never get caught. The ending. Emily was eventually charged as well. The investigation lasted months. Both of them faced serious legal consequences. As for me, I closed that chapter of my life completely. Because sometimes the worst betrayal isn't the one you discover first. Sometimes it's the one hiding underneath it. The one you never expected. And in my case, the affair was only the beginning.